They were saying that the moon that you see doesn't exist until you observe it. And in the physics world, that just can't be true because it's always there. But quantum physics is proving that's not true. Things only exist because your senses, your see, hear, taste, smell, and feel, observes it and locks it into that particular place. The experiment was they had, I think it was an electron gun, and they had a screen and they had a slit. So if, let's say a BB gun. If I take a BB gun and I shoot it through that slit, then on that wall, you'll see a line of where I hit it. Now, let's create two slits. Now we got two slits and we have this one gun, this BB gun. Let's shoot the BBs through both slits. So I should see two bands of where the BBs went through, but that's not what they saw.
You only have one point of view though. So your trajectory is, let's say this is your point of view.
Yes.
And when you move, you know, and I'm saying this because this is also in physics, right? Your point of view is restricted to, let's say, to these boundaries. So when you have two board A and B.
No, not two boards. It's one board. Let's say we have this one board. And then let's say I open a slit here, and I take this out, and then I do the same thing here. So we got two long, slender openings. And then you have a BB gun. And you take your BB gun, and you shoot BBs through this one, and it's going to hit a wall back here. So you should be seeing BBs if you go through this slit here. And I say, okay, Lonnie, now shoot through this one. And you shoot through this one. And you should see BBs right here. And I could say, oh, okay, you shot 770 BBs and they're over here and right here. But that's not what they were seeing. Instead, they were seeing a band here, a band here, a band here, a band here, and a band here. And they're saying, how did this one BB gun going through only two slits produce 7 different patterns as though the BBs hit all these 7 different patterns? And they're finding that. And so they wanted to observe it. They said, well, let's get a closer look at it. And so when I put a measuring device here, and I say, okay, Alani, shoot your BB gun now. And then you shoot your BB gun. And now it's only 1. I'm like, wait a minute. Then I stop looking at it. I say, do it again. And you do it. You shoot your BB gun through the 2 slits, and I'm seeing 7 rows as though the BBs went through. And I said, well, wait a minute, let's get a closer look. So I put the camera closer and I say, all right, Alani, do it now. And then you shoot through it, and I'm still seeing only now 2 from where you shot through. And they're finding that reality is that BB is not really a BB, or that electron is not really electron. It's a wave of potentials, like a water wave. And it's coming through as a wave going through both slits. That one BB is going through both slits at the same time because it's a wave. And then when it goes through, it's producing these patterns called interference patterns because it's a wave of potentials. And then they say it's a potential that the BB will hit here. It's a potential that the BB will hit here. It's a potential that the BB will hit here. It's a potential that the BB will hit here. And whatever the highest potential is, when we open our eyes to observe it, that's where it's going to be. That's really how reality is. It's waves of potential that don't get fixed into reality until you observe it. So the moon doesn't exist until you see it. Go ahead.
You apply that same concept to lives, just how we have a possibility to sit any of these seats. Like, let's say I go home, I can meditate on, say, hey, next time I want to do something. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
I can
All right.
apply it.
Right. All right. So what I'm getting at ultimately is this. Your mind produces waves of potential. Whatever you want to be, to become, to create, to express, you merely have to lock in that potential through your senses. And that brings us to visualization.
Visualizing your goals.
Visualizing your goals. Yeah, I could say that.
Your endpoint. So potentially work to work.
Yeah, I can agree to that. All right. So it's whatever you want to do, to become, to be, if you see it, or I should say, when you see it vividly in your mind, where you could see it, you feel the texture of it, you can smell it, and if you bite it, you can taste it. When you can feel it, that's when you collapse that wave of potentials, and now your mind starts to make it real. Most people don't manifest what they want only because they're going through a range of potentials. Today, I want to be this. Well, no, not really. I think I want to do this. I'm not really sure now. Tomorrow, I want to do this. You haven't locked in your vision, your focus. Then when you start to focus like in a camera, then it becomes more vivid. If you imagine this cup, like if you feel it, and if you can take this into your imagination, you can see this cup, you can feel this cup, you can smell this cup. When you can do that in your mind with anything, that is a key, a mipta, to how you make things manifest. Questions?
To go back to the board where it says feelings and think,
Yes. That's one. Yeah, yeah.
and we spoke about confinement
Yes.
and creative
Right.
thinkers
Conformance and creative. Yeah.
and creative thinkers. So within thinking, because it's such a linear route,
Right.
sits within the realms of conformance.
Yes,
in a
true.
sense, which means feelings, right, which sets you on towards the creative path.
That is true. Yes, but don't confuse feeling with with emotions. Yes, this will be that gut feeling, that intuitive feeling, not really your emotion. I feel this about this girl. No, we're not talking about that type of emotion. We're talking about that intuitive sensing. I was going to say something else. Oh, yeah, okay. Feeling and thinking. Also, as a part of manifestation, is when these two thought patterns are in harmony. We were talking about conflict, how you might feel a certain way about something, but you're told to do it and you got to do it anyway. And so there's a conflict between what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And that's okay at times, because that's life. You're going to have those particular instances. However, when you want something to manifest in your life, these two, that intuitive gut feeling and what you are logically thinking, have to sync up. When those two are in this dance, this Kundalini dance, that's when this energy is able to rise. And then you are able to manifest whatever it is that you want to do. This is why some people are just so creative, one right after the other. It's because these two are in harmony. And this is also why some people, no matter how much work they do, are always in the same broke boat year after year, because these two are not in harmony. Mr. Alani, if you would take us through 1 through 10.
Mind your mind for the jewels of your soul. Scroll 10. Attention. 19 times 1 equals 19. Low. In everyday situations, one should develop the faculty of attention. 2. Concentration itself is a narrowing of the field of attention. 3. The entire attention is thrown into whatever is being done. 4. The individual becomes lost in the job at hand. 5. One must concentrate on the work and rigorously shut out all other thoughts. 6. No work can be done successfully without calmness and concentration. 7. In this way, the mind becomes one-pointed. 8. Failure is a stranger to work done with perfect attention. 9. When one sits for meditation, there should be no thought of job-related work. 10. Therefore, when doing job-related work, household chores should never enter the mind.
All right, so Mr. Alani, what is your synopsis of what you just read?
So, if I were to sum all this up, I think it boils down to the word that we just mentioned, focus. So once you focus on one particular task, to make sure not to fall through to distractions, However, because as it mentions, if you allow distractions to enter, we look at it in the sense of your end product won't be as perfect because you will be, sunk into let's say it was flawed throughout the process while you were creating it with all these other distractions, whether, you were thinking about someone else. So let's dim it down for a little bit. Let's look at a painter and he's painting.
Right.
And if he's continuously getting distracted while painting, the painting end result will look different from a painter who sat down throughout the whole session and painted in a calmness manner. It might look more finished. So focusing on one task is very important, and trying to eliminate distractions from whether it is and taking one task at a time would result in better products, better end products.
Right. All right. No, that's very good. So now let me ask this question. How does that apply to someone who might be fixing your breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
In what sense? Because when you're cooking, you're focusing on the task at hand, which should be cooking. Right.
And if they're distracted,
then the cooking will probably either taste not as great as it should, or burnt, or whatever the dish at hand that was supposed to be served will not be served to the standard that you would think what perfect is.
That is true. That distraction also goes into the food and can throw the taste of the food off, depending on if the baker or whoever's cooking the food is stressed and they're making your food, or especially if they're angry. If they're angry, they should not be cooking. They should not eat food served by somebody who cooked it up with anger, because that anger is going in there and it's going into you.
That's why I say distractions are not only physical interactions.
Right.
They're mostly like mental interactions. We see a lot of examples for law enforcement or military folks. It's very bad, to be mad, and when you're armed, for example, because as humans, we get mad, and sometimes you let your emotions, anger take over. And we all know that once anger takes, a hold of you, we tend to create reckless or do reckless actions. And it's just so easy for the ones who are armed to allude for, option A, and potentially could, cause a reckless behavior. So that's why, it's very important to always calm down. I mean, I try to calm down majority of the times.
Right.
Count to 3 or breathe. But, I have a technique where I just usually, it's like a switch shut.
Right.
So I just shut it, and it's like my mind goes black. completely.
Okay.
So it's like I blockade a lot of the things I'm getting, and it's quickly stops affecting me.
Right.
You know, and I might reflect on it for the momentarily, like after, but it's my rule of life is like nothing is personal, because we all as humans get caught in the moment. So I
Right.
might be mad at you at this exact moment,
Right.
but in 10 minutes pass by, I'm gonna forget about it, and we're sitting down, you know, at the
Right.
food table, you know, talking and discussing other things.
That is
because
true.
I had already let it go.
Right.
A lot of people just need to personally, I believe, to let go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they cling on to, you know, small actions that happen. If you rub me wrong today,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hold on to that,
Yep.
and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. Not only this is creating a chaotic energy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also exerting continuous energy for remembering, because I had pinned that memory in my head.
Right.
So I'm continuously burning, you know, that memory.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see you, that memory exerts more energy, because I'm getting remembered, you know, with that incident that we
Right.
had. And it fuels hatred, fuels chaos, and it fuels like an altitude, you know, a multitude different reasons
Right.
that could affect your day-to-day life. Because I could not see you for a couple of days, but I'm still thinking about that
That's right.
situation. Now I'm projecting that energy onto people who don't even know you and don't know me well,
Mhm.
because of our interactions that
Right.
we had.
Okay.
So focus and let go.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Alani? Or any other observations off of what we just read? Nothing, Lamar? Normally women have more to say.
No, I'm good. I'm listening to him and he's spot on.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Alani. And something I want to piggyback on what you said is that letting go. Again, I have to harp on gratitude, because once you're centered on gratitude, all these other things, you just drop by the wayside. But when you leave gratitude, and only when you leave gratitude, is can you hold on to this grudge that something or somebody did something to you in the past, and now you are wearing it as though it's your attire, and so you can't let go. Now the danger is that not only the next time you see that this person, that resentment, that grudge, or whatever it is comes out, but anyone that reminds you of that person, it comes out. And then you'll get a feeling and say, I just don't like him or her. And you won't really know why. And subconsciously, it's because your mind is linking something about this person or persons to the person that you despise. And so now you just affected someone from something happened in the past is now affecting your future development, because you are prejudging that person subconsciously based on something that you've experienced in the past. That's how the mind works. So you've got to learn how to control or corral your mind to think the thoughts that you want it to think. The you that is the you that came down from an etheric form into a physical form, going back to who am I? I am not this body. Who am I? I am not this spirit. Who am I? I am not this soul. Who am I? I am not this akh. Who am I? I am not this ether. When you can tear away all of these sheaths of yourself, then you get back to the real self. And when you get back to the real self, I am in the love of all. Aniki Dekau, Pa'ashak. I am in the love Impa'at of all. At the very beginning, I opened up with a prayer of all. When you start thinking as an individual, me, how I feel, I did this myself, me, myself, this is a mental partition of you separating yourself as though you are separate from all. And I say a mental partition because you're still in all. It's now you create this mental barrier of where I exist separate from Alex, who exists separate from Alani, who exists separate from Lamar, who exists separate from Travinci, who exists separate from Caffrey. But when you start getting rid of the I am not this body, I am not this spirit, I am not this soul, then you start to realize with your real I that we are all a part of all and we are connected. And this is also what they're finding in quantum physics. As they look out at the universe, they're starting to see these web-like structures. That's why they call it string theory, these web-like structures that is connecting everything. And now they're starting to see that all life is connected. The illusion is that I'm separate from you, you're separate from him, he's separate from her, she's separate from him. That's the illusion. The reality is we're all one. There's a meditation.
Yes, but they don't want you to know that because they don't advertise that.
Right, that's true. Because once you know that, well, the reason why they don't want you to know that is because it's profitable. It's profitable if I have you thinking that you're separate from me, because then now I can set up this thing called. Yep, now I can set up this thing called not only conformance, competition. Competition only can exist if I think I'm separate from you. Now I want to compete against you, Alex. I want to go into the gym and I want to prove that I can bench more than you because you're just a wussy. I want to compete against you, Alani, because we know Black people run faster. So I want to race you so I can prove that you're not as fast as I am. It sets up all these competitions. And with this competition comes a myriad of things. Whoever's controlling this competition, it brings them profit. The danger, as we talked about last week, you guys weren't here, is that in competition, if we have, how many NFL teams are there, Caffrey? I must be 32. All right, there's 32 teams. Now, how many teams can win the Super Bowl in one season?
One.
How many teams cannot go to the Super Bowl in one season? Now, by setting up competition, it seems like, oh, the competition is good, but we only have one winner, one team and its fans expressing joy and happiness and gratitude. And we have 31 other teams expressing depression or anger and loss. So, one second. So you just increase the amount of negativity in the atmosphere. This is also why, as they call it, football, which is we call soccer, the biggest sport in the world, when a team wins the what is it called? What is it? World Cup. When a team wins the World Cup, they found that with these other teams and their fans, depression rate and domestic violence increases.
The weight is at more stake when you're competing for a full nation, representing a larger group of people
right.
than just this state.
Right. Then that whole nation feels the loss. And they found now that during the World Cup, domestic violence increases. So now, because of competition and how it's structured, we just put more negativity out into the air. So now, with all these depressed people, what are we going to do? Well, we have to come up with some sort of drugs to treat these depressed folk. And again, it's that whole game, control through competition. Alex is going to say something.
That was exactly what
Okay.
it amazes me how, for example, I don't care for sports because I see this and see how people react from it.
Right.
How can you be so much invested?
Yes. Yeah. And people are emotional. You said it right. Are emotionally invested in this. Not only just with sports. One thing that just baffles my mind is The Bachelor, and I just can't. It's a huge show, and people are so emotionally invested in.
But that goes back to the television show.
Yeah.
You mentioned, to me, I don't compete in anything. So I take it back. I do compete, for the Army, right? It's best warrior competition. I do it, seasonally. However, it's the goal and the purpose within myself, because I don't like competing with you to prove to you that I'm better than you.
Right.
But maybe my translation to it, I compete with myself in the realm of the competition.
Right.
With people.
Right. Right. Okay.
Now, even if I were to lose, I walk out usually laughing, or I usually forget about it within 10 minutes that I even competed.
Right.
Because to me, it's more of an experience.
Right.
I came as a winner or a loser.
Right.
Because it doesn't affect me. Because, I just never understood people that, like you said, that are just too invested into a sport or a competition where, like, it could dictate a mood, because you just don't know how it's going to pan out when you go ahead and compete.
Right.
And I tend to, stay away from competition overall, because who am I proving my skills to?
Right.
I really don't care what you think about me as a contender.
Right.
So,
right.
Purpose of the competition.
Okay. So what you are expressing is you have curtailed your competition. You are creatively using this method of competition for yourself.
Correct.
Maybe you were at level 3 yesterday, and now you're at level 4 today. That's growth. Yeah. That's growth, and growth via your competition with yourself. There's nothing.
I feel a type of way if I'm potentially putting other people in a depressed or in a lower status.
There we go. Now you're taking exactly. Now you're taking responsibility. You got to think about this.
That's an empathetic.
Yes.
Behavior.
Yep. So now, if I'm going to be in this competition, I have to be cognizant that when I win, this person is going to lose, or these people are going to lose, and how they're in the feeling that we're now putting out into the atmosphere. It's a negative feeling, a negative vibe, because one person won, me, and these 47 other people lost. And so the actual winner is the negative energy, because now it's out there more so than me winning. And so what Dr. Ewart used to do on Tamaray was, when there was a competition, everybody got a trophy. Some people don't like that. They think only the people who win should get a trophy. But when everyone gets a trophy, yes, and then the sense of happiness goes up. And
Not
that,
for the winner.
huh?
Not for the winner.
No, yeah. Also for the winner, when they buy into everyone gets a trophy. Because today you might be a winner, tomorrow you might be a loser. And so if you look at it, that at some point, the randomness of numbers, you're going to be in either category. But if you are getting a trophy for your participation, then you only have win-win.
Correct. But that Okay, so I might not understand you fully. So someone who preps for this competition and exercise and train 365 days of the year, and someone who doesn't, you tell me the end goal is similar because they both receiving a reward, right?
Right.
However, I can guarantee you from personal experience that the person who have trained 365 days of the year won't be as satisfied
Right.
because why I have invested my life into this sport for someone who didn't invest
Right.
their life into this sport
Right.
to gain the similar outcome.
Okay. Now, let's say there are 42 people and one wins, but everybody gets a trophy.
Okay.
How many people are happy potentially?
All of them.
Or
Or the one person who was declared as a winner, you know?
no, everybody gets a trophy. Going by your example, if he or she prepped the entire year and these other people didn't, but everybody gets the same trophy, there is a potential that, as you said, your experience has shown that one person that prepped is going to be upset.
The winner, not the one who prepped. So if the winner who prepped as well.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a winner and a person who prepped
Okay.
at the same time.
All right. So you're saying the winner, not necessarily that he prepped or not.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a winner, but the one who prepped, you're saying, is going to be upset or
Yes, because you want to look at it in the senses of like I've invested my career into this competition.
yes,
But you didn't,
right,
correct?
yes,
I've gained first place still.
right.
I don't think you should, or like I don't think you deserve, to gain a reward as well because your performance was lacking.
But who won?
I did.
Okay, and you prepped.
I prepped.
All right, gotcha. All right, so you won and you prepped.
The sense of reward. But
Right.
I get it because
Right. Well, I'm coming to something. All right, so the person who prepped for this is the person who won.
Correct.
But everybody got the same reward.
Absolutely.
And now the person who prepped and won
It's upset.
is upset. Gotcha.
Because everyone got the same
Because
reward.
everybody got the same
So
reward.
what makes you different
Right.
as a winner?
Now that one person that won and prepped, he's feeling a bit bitter or disjointed because everybody got the same prize. So I don't want to call this a loser column. I want to call
Because
this.
how would you reward?
I'm gonna come to that. So this person, let's call this the prep person. But everybody got the award. So 41 people are in this happy column, and then this one person who actually won, but he's upset that everybody got, this disgruntled person is upset that everybody got a reward, and so now he's emitting his disgruntled energy. Now, the thing is, you're looking at what is the energy that is being pumped out into the atmosphere most. Yes. So this is a win for the planet. And I say the planet because that energy goes out into the atmosphere and affects animals, and it affects plants, it affects all life. And so this creates a winning situation.
Positive atmosphere.
Yeah, positive atmosphere, despite this one person being disgruntled that everybody got the same award.
But I think this could work if we're mentally conditioned to become prepped.
Right, yeah.
This is a thing.
That's right. As Lamar was saying, she said, we're not taught to think that way because society, as we just talked about, society wants you to competition. This is where society wants you.
What the argument is leading.
Explain.
A test that everyone passes. Pass it.
Right. Everyone gets an A.
Yeah.
just for taking the test.
And you know that beforehand, by study.
Right. And that goes into what he just mentioned. Self-improvement. Like when he mentioned competing against his last best effort, the same thing would apply in anything, even in your study. I got an A, but now how much, if I studied this, I'd be able to take in whatever that subject is, science or whatever it is, and now I'm able to apply it. Whereas before, I didn't study it, I still got the A. Now I studied it, I still get the A, and now I'm able to apply it.
That comes from conditioning, in a society where it teaches you to continuously self-improve, so you can take it upon yourself to actually self-improve.
Right. Yes.
Because
If the society, if we are society, we have to first do that individually, and then it becomes each one teach one until that becomes the norm.
correct. I just think it's late, for certain societies to adapt certain, mythologies or mythologies to implement into, like such concepts. It could work in smaller communities because they're not so.
I don't want to say you can't think like that. You have to, I would say, it starts with self. Forget about the rest of society. It starts with self, because then it becomes contagious, and then it just seems to catch on like wildfire. And you'd be like, wow, I didn't think it would happen so quickly. That's how it happens.
It becomes contagious depending on your level of influence in that society, right? So if you are, because it could be me, Amanda Lonnie, right?
Right.
And I could do what I do daily with perfection and whatever the definition of perfection, right?
Right.
And I have my group of friends who we're all similar thinkers, but I don't expose myself outside, or let's say I'm not exposed as much to the outside, for the outside to look at me and soak and learn from my methods for them to implement.
Okay.
So that's why I say your influence, like let's say a president, for example, has more influence and more eyes on him, and I know it's a poor example for a person, but just because of the amount of influence that individual gathers, if he were to practice or say something, more eyes on him that could potentially see or, believe in that route. Not necessarily everyone's gonna follow.
Right. Potentially, but not necessarily. And here's why. Now, we just talked about how we have physics, the linear, and we have quantum, I'll just say nonlinear. Now, everyone taps into this mental reservoir. Here's what happens in this mental reservoir. Let's say Lamar gets an idea to create something, but Lamar gets so caught up in making a living that she doesn't make a life, and that creativity that she was thinking of, she doesn't express it. It goes back into the bank. And then someone else, Alex, picks it up. And then Alex says, I'm going to do this thing. And he does it. He comes out with this new creative product. Then Lamar, looking at the commercials, she sees this product and she says, I had the exact same thought, and now it's out there. And that's because when it came out of the mental reservoir to her, she didn't act upon it. It went back into the bank and was given to someone else who picked it up. Similarly, when Ahmed Alani starts saying, I am going to compete against my last best effort, and I am going to control my thoughtmosphere. This is how I'm going to behave. Then you start expressing that particular pattern. That is also recorded in this mental reservoir, and it becomes contagious, not just on Ahmed Alani and his circle of friends, but now you've just opened up a channel from the mental reservoir for, and in your circle of friends, here's your friends, you just opened up a channel that is easier for other people to tap into. That's why it says it starts with the individual. Once you get, yeah, it's tethered here, but now you created an easier way for other people to tether into it because you brought it out of the mental reservoir and made it now more accessible to other people on this quantum frequency. Do you understand that?
No, I
Okay,
see that, but
got it.
it boils down to how much influence does a person have for him to bring as many people to tether?
No. That's what I'm saying. No, it doesn't rely on you and your sphere of influence. It only relies on you bringing it out from the mental reservoir and expressing it. Now that it's out there, it's easier for people who are not even connected to you to tap into.
How are they going to tap into it if they're not connected?
Not connected to you. But now that you've brought this out, this channel out
Okay,
from,
I see that.
okay, from the mental.
To the circle around me. It's just creative.
No, not to this person. This is let's say this is some random person over, and let's put them over in Liberia, West Africa, and here you are. You've opened up this channel coming from the mental reservoir to planet Earth into the dome of Alani, but you've opened up a mental reservoir channel. And now other people can tap into that reservoir without having even being connected to Alani. And now what they'll find is that if you were to survey people around the world, you'll see, and these are other studies they're doing, you'll find that other people are having similar thoughts. And now scientists are going to look at it. Why and how are people having these sometimes same or shared thoughts? It's because they're tapping into that same mental reservoir that someone opened. And this is what gets into the quantum world, because it doesn't linearly make sense as far as physics. But then when you add in quantum mechanics and how everything is linked to the mental, now they're beginning to overstand it. But it doesn't rely on just your sphere of influence. Time check. Time to finish. So we'll go ahead and stop there. I won't end with any prayer. We opened up with one. I want to thank you all for attending. I want to thank you, Lamar. Thank you, Caffrey. So now we're going to go into the software testing. Lamar, were you in that as well? I forgot.
The software testing?
Yes.
No, I wasn't involved.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Okay. All right. So yeah, at 12:30 to 2, we do software test engineering class. So I can help these people get 6-figure salaries.
Well, I've already got that, but if you want me to tap in, I can tap in.
No, it's on you. If you want to learn how to be a software test engineer, you know, I'm willing to teach if you're willing to learn.
Okay, send me the details.
Okay, then all right, this is a good place to stop because I think you and Alex are pretty much at the same point. I got to get you to download some documentation, and then we'll begin as soon as you get those downloaded. So Caffrey, you can go ahead. Oh, we're going to close this bridge. I'm going to send you another link to another bridge. So just dial into that particular one. I'll send it right now.
What
And what's
time?
that bridge for?
Software test engineering.
Oh, I'm not going to participate in that. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. This is for Lamar. Oh, now I got a text from Son. He was asking what was the link, but too late now. All right. Thank you, Lamar. Thank you, Caffrey.
Thank you.